Alright, ladies and gentlemen, back to your regularly scheduled programming on this channel of Paladin PvP nonsense. So this video has taken quite some time to put out. This is like my third or fourth attempt at this video, so I spent like, 5 or 6 hours in this stupid video recently. The main reason why it's taken so long to get this video going is that I've kind of been like a weird kind of sick lately. Like it's that kind of sick where you find yourself sleeping for like 12 hours a day and you're a little bit phlegmatic, like allergies are affecting you, but you're not really sick, like that kind of a deal. So I'm just going to call it allergies, even though it's technically not allergies. But I was trying to record the videos, and I was basically like the Hawk Tua girl on steroids, and I was like, Jesus Christ, okay, let's just stop, enough. So that's why I've been making the Battle Brothers videos recently. Really been enjoying that. All right, so in this video, we're going to take our time. There might be some Hawk Tuing. You're just going to have to deal with it. And we are going to slowly but surely talk about Ret Reckoning and Heal Reckoning by contrast. So I'm going to start off by talking about Ret Reckoning specifically, since it's the simpler of the two. And then we will move on into other things. So Ret Reckoning Paladins traditionally, let me, yeah, what the hell is that? Clean my glasses apparently? Like what the balls? There's like magically just an annoying spot on my glasses that needs to come off. Like what's going on here? Yeah, sure, start recording a video. Clean glasses. Yeah, good idea. Alright, so first off, let's look at a traditional Ret Reckoning Paladin. So Ret Reckoning Paladins put just enough points into the protection tree to pick up, to have 5 points in Reckoning right here. I'm actually going to I'm going to put a point here, strip a point out of there, and put a point there. Just in anticipation of Heal Reckoning, but you do get 3 out of 3 improved Hammer of Justice on a Ret Reckoning Paladin, 100%. But then the remainder of your points basically get plugged into the remainder of your points basically get plugged into the Retribution tree, ending with you having like 1 point in Vengeance. This is the most typical build I see Drakova rocking around with in the grand scheme of things. The reason why these talent points are so critical to Ret Reckoning is that the 2-handed weapon specialization increases the white damage of your weapon by 6%, increases the seal damage of your weapon by 6%, and it increases the judgment damage of your weapon by 6%. Seal of Command does double dip on this, so this talent right here, when Seal of Command procs, it won't increase the damage of Seal of Command by 6%, it'll increase it closer to like 13%, because it basically, it double dips on this. Same thing happens with Vengeance. It's these two talents in particular, and then you can add Blessing of Sanctuary in there as well, that really make Seal of Command go Super Saiyan. Without these talents, Seal of Command is generally worth about an extra auto attack's worth of damage. But once you put these points in there, they all double dip with Seal of Command, except practically speaking. And suddenly, Seal of Command, rather than doing, 6 and 15 and 10, let's do it here. It's like 6, 15, and then 10. Rather than increasing command damage by like 31%, it increases it closer to like 70%, like all these talents here. And that's when you get those scenarios where it's like white attack crits, does like 1,000 damage, command attack crits, and does like 1,700 damage. It's like, what the fuck just happened? Well, what happened is those deep talent points down there. I bring this up because Heal Reckoning Paladin is going to strip these talent points away, and it is a noticeable loss, but I think it's 100% worth it. So anyways, the moral of the story here is that a Ret Reckoning Paladin has both Seal of Command, Eye for an Eye, and 5 out of 5 Reckoning. Now you'll notice that in none of these builds, like not in the Holy Shock build, not in the Holy Reckoning build, Heal Reckoning, Ret Reckoning, and even Deep Ret builds, every single viable Paladin PvP build has either Eye for an Eye, 2 out of 2, or it has 5 out of 5 Reckoning at a minimum. And the reason for this is because where the power of Paladin really comes from in PvP is through the reflect damage. And that's either from eye for an eye or through Reckoning or having both of these in combined. So, for example, the Holy Shock Paladin, you know, he's got 17 points in the Retribution tree. And I can literally strip those points out here really fast. 1 there, 3 there, and 1 there. 17 points in the Retribution tree to pick up Seal of Command and Eye for an Eye. Holy Reckoning has 5 out of 5 Reckoning. Heal Reckoning has Command, Eye for an Eye, and Ret Reckoning. I'll literally just put the points in here right now. Actually, I'm not going to. I'll put them in Strength temporarily so we can look at it later. And then Ret Reckoning, of course, has both, and Deep Ret Paladin has Eye for an Eye. Okay. Why is this stuff important? Well, it has to do with the 5 ways a Paladin can actually kill somebody in PvP. And I'll bring them up here really fast so we can eyeball them for half a second. Now, Jousting should be in here, right? Jousting would be right here in the middle, but I deleted it out of this list because Jousting is really only for Deep Ret Paladin. Only Deep Ret Paladin really jousts. But they're ordered in descending order of how long it takes to kill the target. So endurance fighting for a Paladin is going to be by far the longest period of time to kill anything. Time on target is the second longest, then burst and change, and then burst and joust should be like right here in the middle between time on target or endurance fighting, or like somewhere like right here. Jousting can be quick or it can be slow. It really depends, but it's definitely faster than endurance fighting. Now, I'm going to show you who's good at what first, and then I'll talk about what exactly I mean by these 5 things here. So a Ret Reckoning Paladin, which I'm going to use red for Ret Reckoning, is good at these 2 things and nothing else. Okay? Ret Reckoning Paladins can't joust, they can't time on target, they can't really do endurance fighting. They can burst, and they can do burst and change, and that's about it. Ret Reckoning, which we're going to use blue for, can do all of this. My bad, Holy Reckoning. Holy Reckoning can do all of this. Holy Reckoning can do everything except burst. And then we're going to do purple for Heal Reckoning. Heal Reckoning does this. Let's let's avoid the G's. Heal Reckoning can do this. So as you can see here, no matter what Paladin build we're talking about, you're going to be missing out on something around here. And these are all 3 of the Reckoning builds, obviously. You're going to be missing out on something. And it's kind of season to taste what you want to miss out on in the grand scheme of things. So I'll explain what these are first. So this is burst, and this is burst and change. So a burst would be specifically when you touch someone with a single auto attack. It's like an auto attack, a judgment, maybe a sapper's charge, maybe a burst trinket, and that's it. It's literally the type of attack that you're trying to kill a mage with, is what I consider to be a burst, okay? The reason for this is because you can't do burst and change on mages. A burst and change would be I burst on the enemy, and then I hodge stun them for 6 seconds, and then I give them the business, and then I grenade stun them for 1.57 more seconds, and I keep giving them the business. When I think of burst and change on my Paladin, I think of a burst plus an extra 10 seconds of beating the crap out of them, right? 7 to 10 seconds of beating the crap out of them. Can't do that against every class. Most notably against mages, you can't do that because mages will just blink out of your stun, right? They'll blink out of the stun and then they'll sheep you. So if you're killing a mage, you're doing it in a burst. You're touching them and they disappear. There is no I touch them, then I stun them, and then I give them a few more auto attacks. Like, that's not happening versus a mage. But that'll frequently be the case against many, many other classes, especially if their PvP trinket doesn't remove stuns, or in the vast majority of cases, people aren't using their PvP trinkets. So, for example, shamans can use a PvP trinket to remove the stun, but the vast majority of shamans you'll be fighting outside of duels, and you're not going to be fighting many shamans in duels, aren't going to be wearing their PvP trinkets, so you can definitely burst and change them. Holy Reckoning, that's the blue one here, right? Holy Reckoning, you'll notice, doesn't have burst. Does not have burst capability. And the reason for this is because no matter how you build your Holy Reckoning Paladin, it's almost impossible for you to kill even the weakest, most susceptible class to being bursted in the entire game, which is Mage. If you can't kill a Mage in a burst, you can't kill any other class in a burst in Classic WoW. And Holy Reckoning is shy of about 500 damage on average to killing mages in a burst. Mages almost routine, not almost, 100%, not even 100, they routinely, like 90% of the time, will survive a Holy Reckoning burst with about 5% life left. 10 to 5% life left. And their actions are going to be blink away, heal pot, whip a root tuber, and then you can't Hammer of Wrath them anymore. And next thing you know, you're turned into a sheep. Holy Reckoning cannot kill in a burst. There's no class in the game that a Holy Reckoning Paladin can actually kill in a burst. You can build them in such a way so they can kill in a burst if they get good RNG. But at that point, you're looking at more of an endurance fighting playstyle, because you are looking to kill a mage in like a 1 out of 3 or a 1 out of 4 burst over the course of like 8 minutes of fighting, right? So that gets classified more in the endurance fighting category than the bursting category. All right, so what changes with Ret Reckoning and Heal Reckoning from Holy Reckoning? The answer is Seal of Command and Eye for an Eye. So Ret Reckoning Paladins have Seal of Command and Eye for an Eye. Seal of Command alone, just having it and Reckoning at the same time, causes you to suddenly have a burst capability against mages, like at a minimum. The reason for this is because you can now Seal Twist, Seal of Righteousness, and Seal of Command in the bomb. And Seal of Command will give you that extra like 500 damage that you really need to kill a mage, on top of an extra chance to crit the mage, right? Not to mention other classes. Eye for an Eye will effectively do the exact same thing for you. In the course of fighting like a mage or any other spellcaster, you can pretty reliably depend on Eye for an Eye to add like an extra 1,000 damage or somewhere around there to your Rec Bomb. Because if you even have a Rec Bomb to put into the enemy spellcaster, it means that they've been critting you with their spells for a while now. They're going to have what I like to call some chip damage on them, right? They're not going to be at 100% life when you jump on top of them. They're going to be at like, 80 or 70% life because Eye for an Eye has been taking its toll. So either one of these is enough damage to put Holy Reckoning over the top, okay? To make Holy Reckoning suddenly able to kill mages. This is an important thing to note, because if Holy Reckoning Paladins ever... If I could snap my fingers and give Holy Reckoning Paladins the ability to kill mages in a burst, they would unquestionably be the best PvP class in the entire game, bar none. It's literally only mages that kill Holy Reckoning Paladins. So it's been, since I'm a Holy Reckoning Paladin player, it's kind of been, a quest of mine to figure out how to kill them. One sec, let me cough. Get some Hawk Tua on. Drink of water. All right, let's continue the cooking. Right, and you might think that, okay, well, let's strip some points out of here, and let's only put 11 points into the Retribution tree, specifically pick up Command, and then put like these extra talent points that we save into the Holy Tree, right? Like, what happens if we do that? And the answer is not much, right? Like, what did we gain? What did we lose? Our healing capability went up a bunch. We have Unyielding Faith. I could strip a point out of there and put it into Consecration. We could pick up Consecration with it, blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to explain why Heal Reckoning is the way that it is. Or, you could just get 4% more crit and get Eye for an Eye. Like, what the hell are we doing? So what's awesome about Eye for an Eye, when you add it into the equation, is that for a Holy Reckoning Paladin, the sheer act of having Seal of Command basically suddenly makes us able to kill mages in a burst. But it doesn't mean we can kill any other class in the game in a burst. I can't kill hunters in a burst. I can't kill shamans in a burst. I can't kill priests in a burst. There's a number of spell casting classes in the game that are effectively wearing plate mail. So like a Shadow Priest, for example, is effectively wearing plate mail. SL Warlocks are effectively wearing plate mail. Shamans with mail and a shield are effectively wearing plate mail. Hunters have mail armor on. You get the idea, right? So there's a bunch of classes out there that we can't really one-shot in a Rec Bomb all that well, unless we specifically have Eye for an Eye. So when you have Eye for an Eye, suddenly Shamans can get one-shotted, like relatively easily, actually. On top of that, it does a lot of chip damage against like Shadow Priests, and it even does work against Warlocks. Again, if you have a Rec Bomb against casters, it means they've crit you quite a number of times, and Eye for an Eye has been doing its job. So expect them not to be full life when you finally make contact with them. So at the end of the day, this is the reason why you end up going at least 17 points deep into the Retribution tree to pick up both Seal of Command and Eye for an Eye. It's to have something to twist with your attacks or your bombs, and then on top of the fact that if we're doing something like, healing ourselves and charging up a Rec Bomb against enemy spellcasters, Eye for an Eye is basically just doing work there. So this is all Holy Reckoning needs to kill mages, but then this thing makes mages insanely fucking dead, like not even a little dead, just like a giga dead. And then it also causes other spellcasters to be bursted. So once you have Command, Eye for an Eye, and Reckoning in Classic World of Warcraft, suddenly you are a quote-unquote burst-capable paladin in Classic WoW. This is why Reckoning has this. This is why they have burst capability. Healing Reckoning has this. It's why they have burst capability. No other paladin in the entire fucking game has Command, Eye for an Eye, and Reckoning. And so no other paladin technically has burst capability. Not even Holy Shock paladins have burst capability. However, I do put 17 points in the Retribution tree to pick up as much of this as possible to go with your Holy Shock. Just in case, the spellcasters are stupid and they're doing a little bit too many crits to you, and if their health bar drops to 70%, the Holy Shock Paladin can probably take them out in a quote-unquote burst, but it's going to be a burst and change, not an actual burst. Okay, so that's basically the lay of the land. That's why Reckoning gets 5 out of 5 Reckoning, Eye for an Eye, and Seal of Command. It continues to put its points deeper into the Retribution tree to make its seals and its white damage do even more damage. We'll talk about why that is. But Heal Reckoning, by contrast, doesn't go any deeper in this tree, and instead puts, let's see, at a minimum, they put 5 points into Divine Intellect, and then they put at least 3 points into Spiritual Focus. And then they're always running 3 out of 3 Improved Concentration Aura, and then there's like 1 free talent point left over, where you can either pick up Blessing of Sanctuary, or you can get 3 out of 3 Improved Hammer of Justice, or you can put the point over here in Spiritual Focus. There's like 1 floating talent point where it's like Season to Taste. Okay, why is this? Well, if I have 3 points in Spiritual Focus, it gives me a 42% spell pushback immunity, and then Improved Concentration Aura gives me a 50% pushback immunity. At that point, I have a 92% chance to ignore spell pushback, which is not 100%, but it's basically as close to 100% as you can get while having this free talent point floating around, right? However, if I put the 4th talent point in there, I will literally just have a 100% spell pushback immunity. So the build is designed to run around and use 3 out of 3 Improved Concentration Aura. And it has just enough points in Spiritual Focus that it can effectively heal in combat. Like that. So the Reckoning cannot heal in combat, but it has more damage. And then this build has less damage, but she can also heal in combat. Now, admittedly, okay, this build is brand new to Paladin in Classic WoW. I came up with it back during when Era was a thing. I came up with it back when Drakova was active during Era. I proposed the idea of it to Drakova. He didn't like it for a certain reason that made sense to me at the time, but I have since forgotten what the hell about it didn't make sense back in the day. And then what really happened was the gearing revolution, where we figured out people were wearing all stats gear on their paladins, like regardless of anything else. And subsequently, we had much thicker mana bars to play with than we've ever had before. And all a paladin needs to really all this build really needs in order to quote unquote heal itself in combat for an extended period of time is a thick mana bar. Like that's all it needs. And so that basically pushed it over the top in my mind. So have I ever played this build in Classic World of Warcraft before? No. I have exactly 0 minutes playing this build in Classic WoW. I have, however, played it reasonably extensively in Season of Discovery. Like at least, a good 30 hours of combat in Season of Discovery on this build. And even though Season of Discovery is a completely different animal than Classic WoW, I can confirm that all my theories about it so far are kind of holding true. And I'll just basically spit them out here today. But we're going to put the points into strength really fast just so we can look at Ret Reckoning. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to build a real Ret Reckoning Paladin so nobody actually gets confused. Pull that out of put a point in there, pull a point out of there, close enough. 1 point here, 3 points there, 1 point there, 3 points here, and then 1 point in Vengeance. Okay, cool. Why do you pick up 3 out of 3 improved Vindication on a Ret Reckoning Paladin? Well, there's a couple of enemies. Specifically, it's warriors that gear themselves with a high amount of melee defense. So warriors that are basically like the fighting you like you're the main boss of they're fighting you in like main raid tank gear. So they've got something stupid like a 30% chance to dodge block, parry, miss, like all that crap. Like heavy melee defense gear. Ret Reckoning actually does not have a winning matchup against them, or I should say a very good matchup at least, versus warriors that gear properly. If you factor in, what is it? Their insane Diamond Flask healing them for like 9,000 HP over like a minute, or like 13,000 HP over like a minute. At the end of the day, it's one of the main reasons we put 3 out of 3 Vindication on this build. The other one, of course, is Rogues. Ret Reckoning Paladin, if for whatever reason their stun fails on the Rogue, like the Orc Rogue resists it, or they pop a free action potion right before their stun wears off and you didn't notice, watch for that. Or they use like a living action potion on you, which will get them out of the stun. If for whatever they're using something, if the stun fails for whatever reason, Ret Reckoning Paladin can have a really hard time of it. But if you put 3 out of 3 Vindication and you go Sword and Board, once you see that, like, oh shit, it's a free action potion and I just used my stun into that, the Vindication with like Edward the Odd will give you a snowball's chance in hell against them. So that's why you put 3 out of 3 Vindication there. It just moves the needle more than just about anything else you can put around here, including improved Judgment. I could be wrong about that. Maybe we want 2 points in Judgment, but I know there's a lot of Paladins running around with Vindication. I'll do a Drakova clip later. We'll see if he's got Vindication or not. If he does, we're definitely taking Vindication. If not, I'll have to rethink my assessment of that. But I've talked to Drakova before. He likes 3 out of 3 Vindication. Pally casts, he talks about it, yada, yada, yada. What else is there to say about Deep Ret Paladin? Okay, so, my bad, Ret Reckoning. Ret Reckoning is a bit of an interesting animal because she has HP breakpoints. She has a minimum mana requirement, but she doesn't have a mana breakpoint. Like, we got this much mana. Okay, stop putting in mana and put stats elsewhere. The more mana we can get on her, the better. But the minimum amount of mana that you want to see on your Ret Reckoning Paladin is about 3,800. In the past, we were running around with like 3,300 mana, like somewhere around there. But for reasons we'll talk about in a moment, we've learned to value like the extra 500-ish mana on the Ret Reckoning Paladins. You also have a melee critical strike breakpoint, which is at 20%. This is going to be an interesting contrast to the heal Reckoning Paladin. Part of the reason why these breakpoints exist is because Reckoning, okay? Reckoning at best can put one Rec Bomb into their enemy. No, that's not at best. Very frequently, you're trying to kill your enemy as a Reckoning Paladin in a single Rec Bomb. And if you cannot kill them in a single Rec Bomb, you kind of just die, right? However, if we have enough mana, what we can do is try to kill them with a Rec Bomb. If that fails for whatever reason, we can then bubble, heal to full, and have a completely second go at it. Okay? Which is why we're suddenly valuing the extra like 500 mana, because in these all stats gears, it actually, not only can we get access to that mana without losing too much DPS, we can suddenly heal ourselves as a full, and then still have, we can basically kill one enemy, bubble, heal to full, and then we still have enough mana to work with to still kill the second guy, which is what we're going to watch in the Drakova clip when I'm done talking about Reckoning Paladin here. So that's why we've learned to value the slightly thicker mana bar. Okay, right, so we have a minimum HP requirement or an HP breakpoint. We have a minimum mana requirement, but we don't actually have a mana breakpoint. More mana, the better. We have a minimum melee critical strike breakpoint, which is 20% exactly. And then once you've got literally like your minimum HP, your 3,800 mana, and then your 20% melee crit, the remaining stats that you want to see on your Reckoning Paladin is not stamina past that point. It's literally just damage. Not critical strike. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. Not critical strike, just damage, just attack power, just strength. That's all we give a fuck about. Now, the reason for this is kind of strange, but it's also kind of interesting. So one of the big changes for a Reckoning Paladin in Classic WoW is basically when you get your hands on a Might of Minithil. And Drakova actually talked about this. So his observation is that you want more damage on your Reckoning Paladin because what it causes to happen is that you no longer need a full Rec Bomb, 4 charges of Rec Bomb to start deleting people out of existence. Suddenly you only need like 3 charges of a Rec Bomb to delete people out of existence. That's why we want more attack power than critical strike. It's for a consistency. So it'll be like, you know, I've got 3 charges here. Okay, cool. Do I know I can delete this guy out of existence, or do I wait for a 3rd charge? If you're relying on critical strike, you don't know the answer to that question. Maybe, maybe not. You'll actually have to put the Rec Bomb into them to find out, which is not the best way to find out in the world. But if you have shit tons of attack power, then it's unquestionably this guy's going to die with 3 Reckoning charges. Your goal for Reckoning Paladin is to get so high in damage that not only is it like it's like a 10% chance anybody survives your full Rec Bomb, but what you want to see is that I have 3 Reckoning charges and I can still delete people out of existence. That's when you're really cooking with a Reckoning Paladin. So again, they have HP minimums, they have mana minimums, they have critical strike breakpoint at 20%, and then from there it's literally just how much fucking damage can I put on this stupid Paladin. And take, so that I only need like 2 Reckoning charges, 3 Reckoning charges to kill people. All right, cool. What else is there to say about Reckoning Paladin really fast? Trying to think. We got to watch the Drakova clip, and then I got to talk about the gearings. Or do I talk about the gearings and then we watch the Drakova clip? Let's watch the Drakova clip first, and then we'll talk about the gearings. The TLDR on the gearing is that this gear right here that we're seeing, minus this enchantment of Fortitude of the Scourge, this is all BWL gear that you can very easily get your hands on. So this is literally rank 10 gear with like a Dragon's Blood cape from Molten Core. This is the Turn-in Nefarian's neck piece. This is a Girdle of the Crusader you get as a random drop in BWL that nobody is going to fucking want. So super easy to get your hands on. Pretty easy to get a hands on Ring of Reckoning. This is just from Alterac. Rep reward. And then Judgment Bindings. Judgment Bindings are probably the hardest thing for you to get on this build. But Judgment Bindings are your BIS bracers for Paladin PvP for the entire game. Like when I swap all this out to Nax geared Paladin Reckoning stuff, you're still going to be wearing your fucking Judgment bracers. This doesn't really get swapped out for just about anything. There are some bracers you can swap it out for to get some more damage, like if that's what you really want. But generally speaking, 21 stamina, 9 strength, 9 intellect, and some spell power is just amazeballs. So yeah, that's the TLDR on the gearing, is that this is a rank 10 build. It from here evolves into the rank 13, which evolves into the rank 14, and then it evolves into Avengers, and that's the TLDR on it. But we'll look at that in a second. Let me pause the video. Let me find my favorite Drakova clip that I did like a whole hour-long video on back in the day. All right, here we are. So it's Drakova and the 2 cocky shamans. It is a 53-second video. Yep, we got the high definition on. I'm actually in this battleground, but I'm dead right now. That's my name right there. Convictions, the Paladin. You see him pop up every now and then. I think we got sound going here, but it should be like super low. So what are we going to see in this clip? We are going to see 2 AQ40/Nax geared shamans try to kill Drakova as a Reckoning Paladin. I'll pause here in a second and we get a look at his gear. Okay, come on. No, fuck off. Okay, almost close enough. All right. So these shoulder pads, obviously has a Might of Minithil. These shoulder pads are the Grand Crusader shoulders from Nax Ramus. Clearly he has rank 13 because he's wearing the Marshal's helmet. I'm not seeing a lot of Avengers gear on him. But the final form is like little bits of Avengers gear. I know he has it, but I think these plates, these leg pieces, are also like some Nax Ramus plates. This Paladin here has like 5,700, 5,800 HP, somewhere around there, and probably rocking like 4,200 mana, maybe a little more like 4,500 mana. But let's just watch really fast. So he gets the Zerk buff. So he just got frost shocked. So here's shaman number 1. So there's 2 LE shamans here. Someone just hit him with, this is probably an earth shock that he got nailed with. You can see the eye for an eye proc over here, 660. This, if he's going to kill any of these guys, it's going to be this guy because he's already got the eye for an eye damage. He's going to take on What the Frig. I remember What the Frig, Jesus. What the Frig's a very interesting elemental shaman because he gears for maximum damage and slightly low armor, and both me and Drakova know this. So if anyone's going to get it, it's going to be What the Frig first. Okay, so he goes over here. He starts healing himself, wondering what these guys are going to do. Are they going to come in? Are they not going to come in? They're obviously going to come in. This front line here just used Nature's Swiftness. So he's going to come around the corner and he's going to Chain Lightning and Nature's Swiftness into Drakova. So there's the Chain Lightning. Okay, so he eats the Chain Lightning. Drakova immediately goes on What the Frig. We're not seeing any Vindication, so I'll take note of that, I suppose. Unless one of the... did he Vindicate him? I can't see it. So he goes in on What the Frig. Stuns him, walks around the corner. His auto attack is still recharging, right? Kind of wondering, he's getting away from this. He's like, reassessing the situation. He's like, hey, you're going to PvP Trinket that? Do you even have PvP Trinket? Like, what's going on here? Yada, yada, yada. This activation right here is his Thick Obsidian Breastplate. So I can confirm that he's actually wearing a Thick Obsidian Breastplate on him. This is the Nature Absorb icon from Thick Obsidian Breastplate. I know he doesn't have Blessing of Sanctuary. These guys aren't purging him yet, so he's got all kinds of goodies. All right, so he comes back, one auto attack into What the Frig. So at this point, we're in a burst and change, right? We bursted on him. We definitely didn't kill the shaman, even with our, eye for an eye proc. But you see we got him down pretty low, somewhere in the minus 70% damage. Wasn't even a full wreck bomb. We put it into What the Frig. But now we are clearly into burst and change. So he puts one auto attack into him. He bubbles. What the frig? Probably Earth Shocked him or something. I don't know. But then the next auto attack in the Judgment kills what the frig. Right? Yeah, so that's one shaman dead with a little bit of burst and change. But you can see here that we've now bubbled, and we're going to heal ourselves to full, and then it's going to be basically become a 1v1, right? From here on out, it's a 1v1 minus our bubble. But let's watch the mana bar. So one Holy Light, 2 Holy Lights, so that's like minus 1,300 mana to heal himself up. Still plenty of mana. I want us to pay attention to how much mana he has at the end of this fight. Because he's going to go over here and he's going to beat the crap out of Frontline in a 1v1 minus bubble. Welcome to the Brett Reckoning, bitches. Okay. You'll also note that he didn't dick around with a flash of light. I say this a bunch of times. If you PvP enough as a Paladin, it's literally all you have time for is 2 Holy Lights, and then you got to start pressing W at people. You don't have the luxury of topping yourself off with like an extra flash of light. Okay, so he throws the grenade. It gets resisted. Slightly unlucky. The Frost Shock activated his Thick Obsidian Breastplate. Make sure we're recording here. We are. That was the Frost icon that popped up. Our boy here shoots a Chain Lightning into Jakova, which probably crit him based upon all these fucking numbers all over the place. Jakova seal twisted a Seal of Command into a Seal of Righteousness. So he stuns What the Frig for 2 seconds. So What the Frig is going to be stunned for 2 seconds, which is nice because it gives time for our auto attack to come off a cooldown. But you'll see that his auto attack was turned off there for a while. His auto attack is still turned off. We're in Wreck Bomb, and this is more time on target than it is like, Wreck Bomb and change territory in the grand scheme of things. Our Hodge stun is almost off cooldown. You can see it on 3 seconds down here. That's the power of his 3-piece Marshal's gear in conjunction with having the 3 talent points in the improved Hodge stun. This is really scary, though. This is the Shaman's BWL trinket, the green swirls. It also comes with a very unique sound. I'll go back really fast so you can listen to it. It's like, yeah, right there. This increases their nature damage by 20%, but also increases the mana cost of their spells by 20% for 20 seconds. This thing is terrifying, and he's casting a lightning bolt right now. So this lightning bolt, if it doesn't crit us, is going to do 1,000 damage. If it does crit us, it's going to do 2,000 damage. Jakova needs to assess his HP pool, then decide, can I take this potentially 2,000 lightning damage and the also potential 2,000 Earth Shock damage behind this? Do I have 4,000 fucking HP? Who knows, right? Maybe his Earth Shock is on cooldown, though. But let's go back slightly, because he does whip a Root Tuber here. So he assesses the situation. His Burrower Shell is active. You can see he just used it. But these Nova Totems do about 900 damage, and the Burrower Shell has 900 HP. And we just ate that, because which is bad play. He should have backed up a little bit here, but, we all make mistakes. So he knows, and I know, that this bubble shield that's physically, his Burrower Shell trinket on him right now, has no hit points to it. Like nothing. So we need to survive this. If I just keep pressing, yeah, there's his Whipperoot Tuber. Right? 790 heal. That's him Whipperoot Tubering. Now he's reassessing. Okay, do I like this HP bar? Can I survive what's about to hit me? He doesn't like what he sees, so he goes for a bandage. He's not entirely sure if he can survive it or not. I mean, RNG might go against him, so he goes for a bit of a bandage. Yeah, he won't even get 1 tick off before this lightning bolt hits him. The lightning bolt does hit him. It does crit him. Our boy here takes 700 reflect damage. We have a reckoning charge. This shaman is so insanely dead at this point, it's not even funny. So he kills him, obviously. But this extra 966 damage that he takes, that's this fucking shaman's lightning shield critting him with the 20% damage bonus from that stupid trinket. And he still survives with I don't even know how much fucking HP he has. I run up, I try to heal him, but he probably gets killed by all the horde running up on him, like moments before I even get this flash of light out. Yeah, and that's his thick obsidian breastplate procking. So he might have like a 600 nature damage shield here right now, but I'm pretty sure he just dies shortly after this. So yeah, that is Ret Reckoning. What I really want to see is what was his mana like at the end. Also, I want to see if I don't think he had Vindication on anybody. No, he's got it right there. Okay, I'm right. Yeah, so we take Vindication on our Reckoning Paladins. There it is. If Dracova's taking it, you're taking it. Just is what it is. But let's look at his mana. Okay, boom, ends. Okay, cool. Now, this is probably enough mana on Drakova for like a Holy Light and a little bit of extra, like kinda. Not all that much, but we did use some of this mana doing some seal twisting shenanigans. What else did we use mana? I think that's about it. But we have been valuing slightly thicker mana bars on our Reckoning Paladins in the grand scheme of things. Fixing my chair over here. All right, cool. So that's that's how you do it. Like that's basically a perfect showcase of this. Best case scenario is, we fight with our existing standing HP. It's usually enough for us to kill somebody, right? So we kill the first guy, boom, and then we have enough mana HP to heal the full, right? And then we're right back at it again. So yeah, best case scenario, you're gonna get like 2 wreck bombs in on your enemy. So there's like, one kind of sort of wreck bomb. And then, a couple more auto attacks. This is just pure time on target at this point. Okay, cool. Boom. Right? Sweet. You'll notice that I didn't have time on target circled for Reckoning Paladin. If I had to describe time on target would be you sitting on your enemy for about 20 seconds and just pumping auto attacks into them. Whereas a burst and change is like, a burst and then like 10 seconds of beating the crap out of them. But as you could see in that fight there, our hero Reckoning Paladin doesn't really have 20 seconds of life to beat the crap out of people, but neither do they need 20 seconds of time putting auto attacks into people before they fucking explode. So it's just like whatever. And I think he finished him off with he has Hodge Stun off cooldown, so he didn't even bother to Hodge Stun. That's another good point. Now that I'm thinking about it, is Dracova's looking at the situation here and just saying, let's just kill him, right? He's like, all right, go away now. Okay, cool. Now you're dead. Okay, he just kills him. But there is a world where he could have just as easily Hodge Stunned him. And then if he had enough mana left, he could just double Holy Light himself, right? Shoot all the way back up to here in his HP pool, and then they could just continue fighting, which is one of the reasons why we are There's a lot of little tiny nuance reasons as to why we are valuing slightly thicker mana bars on our Reckoning Paladins. Okay? Follow me on this shit? All right, cool. All right, let's go check out the gear. All right, so as stated before, Blizzard might try to screw us in BWL and not give us access to rank 13 gear on classic anniversary servers when BWL is out. So we might have to try to live in the rank 10 gear. So I'm just showcasing a very easy to get rank 10 gear build here, including a Herald of Woe. We're valuing the Herald of Woe here just because it comes with like 20 intellect. It's also going to be a weapon that nobody wants. So it'll be pretty easy for you to get your hands on. It's not an ideal Reckoning weapon because she's kind of fast at 3.4 seconds. We prefer a slightly slower one, but there's not really much else we can really guarantee to get our hands on. What other options? We prefer an Ashkandi. We would prefer like a Hand of Rag or even like a Spinal Ripper is not bad. So I guess the P paused the video. Spinal Ripper is not the worst thing in the world. It's out of Molten Core, like a non-existent drop chance off of Ragnaros. But when you do get it off of Rag, she's not the worst thing in the world. 74 DPS, but she's also 3.4 weapon speed. Some attack power. Herald of Woe is just better. Herald of Woe is just better. You could try looking at Untamed Blade, but Herald of Woe is just better. There's also that two-handed axe that drops out of BWL that nobody wants. It's another random drop, and it looks sick as fuck. I forget its name. Let's see. These are 73 item level. Okay, cool. We'll click that. We'll scroll down to 73 item-ish level. I'm going to know it when I see it. No, it's not Blood Drinker. Fuck off. 73-ish item level. Untamed Blade, Draconic Avenger. There we go. But where's the non-Season of Discovery one? Draconic Avenger, non-Season of Discovery. Yeah, but this thing's even worse, right? 3.2 weapon speed. Like, no, on a Reckoning Paladin, no thank you. She's also doesn't have as good of stats as the other Paladin. But the Draconic Avenger has its place, right? But in duels, just because of the parry chance. But again, it looks sick as fuck. Like, it's probably the best looking trash weapon in the entire game. Like, look at this fucking thing. That is ridiculously sexy. Unfortunately, if you see people running around with this, they're trolling. So, unfortunate. So we're going to go with Herald of Woe. Boom. It gives us that thicker mana bar to play with. It helps us hit that mana breakpoint. The thing about the rank 10 gear is that she is, compared to the Marshal's gear, she actually has a lot of this. What she's missing compared to Marshall's is Marshall's has more critical strike chance, and Marshall's has more MP5 and a shit ton of mana. And you're going to see that when I switch all this over to Marshall's really second. You can see we have no MP5 on this character whatsoever. Our mana bar is only 3,800, and we've got like 5,200 HP, which is perfectly fine for this current HP breakpoint. I'm going to switch this over to Marshall's really fast. Marshalls. No, we're not swapping you. Marshalls? Got to make sure we don't click the Season of Discovery one. Marshalls. We keep the Fallen Crusader. Marshalls and Marshalls. Okay, cool. So now we have 6 out of 6 Marshalls. Look what happened to our HP bar. It only went up by like 100 and I want to say like 170 HP, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. I don't really know, but yeah, not that much HP gains. But Jesus fucking Christ, look at the mana. Mana went up by like 700 mana. There's a fuck ton of extra mana on this gear. Critical strike actually went up by a good 2 to 3, probably about 3% melee crit, which is awesome. But then look at our MP5. We also have like 22 MP5. So you'll evolve from the rank 10 gear into the full Marshal's gear, like at rank 13. And then the final evolution of this, of course, is to replace this piece of crap with an actual like rank 10, my bad, rank 14 Grand Marshal's weapon. Let's go with the Claymore. Most people like the Claymore for whatever reason. And at that point, like this, you could easily fight Nax Ramus geared enemies with this. If this was like if you were doing this stuff in like Nax Ramus, you'd actually have the, Jesus Christ, Season of Discovery. You'd want Fortitude to Scourge on this thing. Jesus, that's amazing. Awesome. Okay. So, what's the TLDR here? I often give HP breakpoints for different phases in Classic World of Warcraft. And I give HP breakpoints in terms of a high number and a low number. Low number being the minimum that you can get away with, and the high number basically being the maximum amount of HP that you possibly want on your Paladin before it just becomes basically useless. This is basically, the higher number helps protect you from high rolls and critical strikes, whereas the lower number only protects you from one of those two, if that makes any sense. Are the spells high rolling on their base damage? Because all the spells in the game, they'll say things like, oh, base spell damage 7 to 800. Well, is it high rolling on that 7 to 800, or is it low rolling on that 7 to 800? Yeah, so the lower numbers protect you from the crits, but not the high rolls. So if both high rolls and crits, you'll die. Whereas the higher version of that number, if it high rolls and it crits, you're going to survive anyways. That's why Jakova ended up surviving at that end there, despite the fact that there was um, the elemental shield proc at the end, or the lightning shield proc at the end. Probably high rolled in crit. It definitely high rolled if you factor in the BWL trinkets plus 20%, right? It both high rolled, it crit, it was an extra source of damage we weren't really anticipating for. Survives it fucking anyways because he's got the high end of the HP bar. In Nax Ramus, your high end health is 5,800. Your minimum is 5,600. Your high end is 5,800. This build right here, 5,800 without breaking a sweat. You literally click Wild Blossom Berries from Fellwood on this stupid thing, and you're going to have 5,800 HP, no problemo whatsoever. So it's on the high end of that. Reckoning Paladins want to be on the high end of the HP counters pretty much without exception. In Phase 1, the high end is... the minimum, I think, is like 5,400, and the high end is like 5,800, I want to say. That's pre-Blackwing Lair. Which the build that we showcased it hits that with no problem whatsoever. Has more than that. Has over it's like 5,200, 5,300 HP, somewhere around there. In BWL gear, the low number is 5,000 and the high number is like 5,200 or like 5,300, somewhere around there. I was hitting those numbers no problem, so who gives a shit. And then in AQ and Nax Ramus, it's basically the same. Both AQ and Nax Ramus is 5,600 to 5,800 HP for these paladins. And then of course mana. What happens from here is that you start swapping out a few bits here and there for Avengers, if I recall correctly. So you'll keep like the 3 of these pieces, but then 3 of them also get swapped out for Avengers. When you swap 3 of these pieces out for Avengers, your melee critical strike goes up to the 20% that you actually want it to have at. Your HP doesn't really go down, and your mana actually goes up even further. I can try to swap it out really fast here, but I really forget which ones get swapped out. Like, I can't remember. It's like, is it the helmet? Is it not the helmet? Like, what is that? I'm just going to type in Avengers, and we'll swap some stuff around, and you'll see what's about to happen here. So we put on an Avengers crown. We put on, like, the Avengers pauldrons, and I think we put on Avengers boots. I think that's what we do. You'll see the mana is going up a little bit. We gained almost 100 mana. HP is staying almost the same. We gained a tiny amount of HP with swapping with the gear. Look at our fucking melee crit. Our melee crit is now literally, that's basically 20%. 19.95% melee crit. What the fuck? So that's what ends up happening there. By the time you're in Nax Ramus, you're swapping out these pauldrons for like the Grand Marshals stuff. And then other little bits get swapped around here, yada, yada, yada. The other thing that happens is that you put on a thick obsidian breastplate at some point. So this gets stripped out for a thick obsidian, but then you still keep the 3-piece martial set. So at that point, you'd only have like 2 pieces. Let's go with, what are the 3 pieces of, I think it's the head. I think you keep the marshal's head. Let me try to recreate the Jakova build here really fast. All right, so we have marshals in the head. I think we keep the Avengers boots. It's gloves, head, and this is going to be a thick obsidian, guaranteed. Dragon's Blood Cape gets swapped out for something else. This is the Grand Crusaders pauldrons from Nax Ramus. We all know that. I don't think he has a single piece of Avengers gear. Face guard, gloves, and leg plates. I don't think he was wearing the Marshal's leg plates. I think he was wearing something else. Where's it at? Show in 3D. Come on, do it. View in 3D. Just to make sure. Yeah, he's definitely not using, because he had like silver leg plates, which means he would be using the Marshal's boots by contrast. Yep, Marshal's boots. Okay. And then this is like something I have no idea out of Nax Ramus. Like literally no clue what the hell this thing is. We'd prefer... No, I don't want cloth or leather armor. It's going to be plate. Not Lawbringer, not Peacekeeper, not Marshals. Fallen Crusader, is it more Crusader gear? Let me check. All stats Crusader gear? I mean, I'm down. Don't have critical strike on that. Probably not. I can look at it in 3D just to see what it looks like. Maybe. Maybe that's what he's wearing. We do like Fallen Crusader gear, that's for damn sure. Stop it. Judgment, leg plates, Icebane leggings, definitely not. Avengers leggings, not the worst thing in the world. I like Avengers leggings, I think, better. Could be wrong about that. 28 strength. 22 agility versus 12. Okay, okay. 22 stamina, intellect, spirit. I like Avengers better. I think I just wear Avengers pants. Yeah, fuck it. We're Avengers. Of course, he has Might of Minithil. Might of Minithil. Okay, cool. What else we get? What else we need for the Drakova build? Oh yeah, this thing would swap out for something else kind of nuts. But you can see that definitely has the 5,800 HP, somewhere in that vicinity. Has this noticeably thicker mana bar. I guarantee you it's closer to like 5,000 or 4,200 mana on him. This would probably be a different item. This would be a different item. This would be a different item. The Ring of Reckoning stays. Yeah, so that's just kind of how you build your Ret Reckoning Paladin. Okay, let's go talk about Heal Reckoning by contrast. I'm going to put on the Demolisher. I'll gear him up. I'll gear a Heal Reckoning Paladin by contrast really fast here. Let's go Marshals. That way we're not too into the future. Also not too into the future. Also not too into the future. We're just going to do a rank 14 Heal Reckoning Paladin. I think that's what it is. That's where we're at. No, we're missing something. Marshals, got the 6-piece Marshals. We got that. We got this. We have a Fortitude the Scourge, which I probably should take off. What else we got going on here? No, I think we're good. I think that's it. All right, cool. We'll leave it at that. Demolisher check? Yeah. Oh, it might be the talents. Okay, that makes sense. I'm like, Jesus Christ, why do I not have 500 mana? What's going on here? It's the talents. I mean, 5,000 mana. It's the talents. Yes, sir. So, no. First things first, why do we put our points in Divine Strength? And my bad, Divine Intellect and not Divine Strength. Well, I'll show you. So, down here on Divine, on the damage, okay, you can see that with this weapon, we're doing this rank 14 weapon, we're doing 126.5 damage. If I put 5 points into Divine Strength and then I look at my damage down here, you'll see that we've gone up to 130 flat. So let's pull it out and let's double check that. It was 130 flat. I gained 3.5 white DPS. 5 talent points for 3.5 white weapon DPS. And I have to ask myself, what percentage of my damage, totality, am I increasing that by? Because it's not going to be 3.5% increase in DPS. This does nothing to increase my judgment damage. This does nothing to increase my SOR damage. All it's increasing is my Seal of Command. It doesn't increase my Eye for an Eye damage. It's just increasing my Seal of Command damage and my white damage, and that's it. And only increasing those by like 3.5%. Is that moving the needle all that much? I don't fucking know. But what I do know is that when I have 5,600 mana and I put 5 points in here and it shoots up to like an extra, what is that? 340 mana. That's probably going to be moving the needle a bit more. 340. 340 divided by 4,600. Yeah, so it's about a 7.5% increase in the amount of mana that I have to play with. So this is increasing my DPS by maybe 2%, and this is giving me 7.5% more mana to play with. In the difference of these builds. So what changes for the Healing Reckoning Paladin over the Ret Reckoning Paladin is stat prioritization. So the Ret Reckoning Paladin If you recall, I said that once you're done hitting the breakpoints, you want every extra bit of damage you have going into stats that you have going into damage for all the because you have a limited amount of wreck bombs that you get to put into the target. And the ideal world is that we get so terrifying in our damage that we can kill someone without even really needing to bubble, which allows us to then heal to full and then kill something else before we're actually technically out of the fight, which is exactly what we saw with the Drakova clip there. Doesn't work that way with Heal Reckoning because you can actually just stop and heal yourself anytime that you want to. So what ends up happening with this build is having a high melee critical strike chance doesn't matter as much because you're going to have a hell of a lot more. The Reckoning Paladin can put between 1 to 2 full wreck bombs into the enemy before they're basically dead. A Holy Reckoning Paladin can put like 4 to 5 wreck bombs into their enemy before they're dead. And a Heal Reckoning Paladin is right in the middle. They're going to be putting between 3 to 4 full wreck bombs into the enemy before they finally run out of gas. And because we're able to put more wreck bombs into the enemy, and we can also guarantee that those wreck bombs are going to be full wreck bombs. I'll talk about that in a second. We don't value critical strike as much because we're not so RNG limited. I really need to take a drink of water here. Let me take a drink of water. Okay. So, Reckoning Paladins sometimes have an awkward moment where they run at the enemy, and we kind of saw that in the Drakova clip, where you run at the enemy, you take their burst into the face. Fuck, there's so many things that I forgot to talk about with Reckoning. All right, let's go back to Reckoning. All right, fuck you. Let's go back to Reckoning. So, trinkets. Okay. I didn't cover that. Right, got it. Okay, so Holy Reckoning, because it has time on target capability, right? Time on target capability right here. Holy Reckoning prefers trinkets like this. They like the Goblin Mortar and the Gnomish Netomatic. Heal Reckoning is also, for similar reasons, is going to want Goblin Mortar, Gnomish Netomatic. The reason why they want to wear Goblin Mortar, Gnomish Netomatic is because both Holy Reckoning and Heal Reckoning, whenever the fuck they feel like it, can stop pressing W towards the enemy and start fucking healing themselves to full. Like, as long as they have the mana, they can do this. While they are doing this, and the enemy is theoretically, like, putting lightning bolt after lightning bolt, or, like, spell attack after spell attack into them, they can basically charge up a full wreck bomb, while healing and taking damage. They can let Eye for an Eye do its damn job, and they still have Seal of Command to twist when they get there. What this means is when a Holy Reckoning Paladin finally... Holy Reckoning Paladin want these trinkets because all they need to do to charge their wreck bomb is stand still and heal themselves. That's it. Just stand still, heal myself until I have a full wreck bomb, then tell people to shut the fuck up with Goblin Mortar, Thorium Grenade, Tidal Charm, or Gnomish Netomatic. Run over to them and delete them, and do your best to delete them out of existence. Right? That's it. That's all I need to do to charge my wreck bomb as a Holy Reckoning Paladin or a Heal Reckoning Paladin is literally to just stand the fuck still and heal myself. And at that point, all I need to do is just, have trinkets that let me close on the enemy and basically give them the good news, right? So that's why these trinkets are prioritized. It's Goblin Mortar, Gnomish Netomatic, Nifty Stopwatch, Tidal Charm, and I think that's about it. Those are usually the trinkets that I'm always swapping around. If one's on cooldown, I'll just swap to the other ones. It's not that big of a deal. Reckoning, different animal. So Reckoning prefers trinkets like Burrower Shell, but that's like an AQ40 trinket, and then like Arena Grandmasters. Okay? Trinkets that give you... Hand of Justice is not a bad backup if any of these are on cooldown. Because Hand of Justice is also one of those trinkets that is allowing you to get away with not needing a full wreck bomb. The other trinkets that Reckoning Paladins really like to use are Reflectors. Okay, why is this? Okay, so Reckoning Paladins do not have the option to stand still and heal, to let their eye for an eye do its job, and to allow Reckoning charges to stack up. Instead, they catch their enemies by just running face first through the enemy's DPS, taking it on the chin, and closing the distance that way, if that makes sense. So Classic WoW and TBC are very well designed in PvP, because in Classic WoW and TBC, hard-hitting spells that are instant cast, like at long-range hard-hitting spells that are instant cast, don't exist in Classic WoW or TBC. And subsequently, what this means is, in order to do enough damage to a paladin to force them to bubble and even have a chance of killing them, every single class in the entire fucking game has to root their ass in place, stand still, and Kamehameha on the paladin. So the two ways to close on our enemies as a paladin are either to face tank our way through the Kamehameha, because the enemy has to stand still to do any real damage to us, or to just have trinkets that allow us to catch them whenever we want to. So the Gnomish Netomatic and Goblin Mortar are catch the enemy whenever we want to trinkets, and then Arena Grandmasters and Burrower Shell, by contrast, would be I'm just going to face tank my way through the Kamehameha and delete you out of existence type trinkets. So since Reckoning doesn't have the option to heal, they're basically forced to do the second option, which is to run through the enemy's Kamehameha. So it prefers to have trinkets that are basically just big HP buff trinkets. It likes using healing potions, Whipperroot tubers, Arena Grandmaster trinket, Burrower Shell trinket. If you're in a serious duel, you could easily replace any of these with Major Recombobulator Ray trinket. Not the worst thing in the world to replace this thing with, especially if I click this thing over here and I scroll all the fucking way down. Thank you, Season of Discovery. Fuck you. And I go plus 33 healing. Like, why the hell not? Why the downside to Major Recombobulator Ray trinket, I'll just read it really fast. Use dispels polymorph effects on friendly target, so you or other people. Also restores about 500 health and mana. I'm not sure if it restores 500 health and mana to the target, or if it restores it to yourself. I made a video on it, but I can't remember what the results were. We always use these things on ourselves, because if I want to polymorph on somebody else, I'll just cleanse. And how often do I need to remove two polymorphs simultaneously? Like, what the fuck? But the thing this trinket doesn't tell you is that it shares a cooldown with Whipperroot Tuber, which is bad. Whipperroot Tuber and Dragon Fruit, which is really bad. But in serious duels, a lot of serious duels don't let you use Whipperroot Tubers. So if I can't use a Whipperroot Tuber, suddenly Major Recombobulator Ray is fucking amazing. But the other thing it doesn't tell you is that it has a 100% spell power ratio behind it. So this isn't 500 health and mana when I click button. I have to scroll down here to my plus healing and add like 300 extra plus healing to this stupid thing. So this thing's going to heal me for like 800 health and also give me like 500 mana, which on a Reckoning Paladin is kind of fucking awesome, because we do like having that slightly thicker mana bar for all the extra reasons, right? So Recombobulator Array, not the worst thing in the world. They're relatively cheap, even though they are charges based. But generally speaking, you're using Reflectors, you're using Arena Grandmaster when it's not on cooldown, and you're using Burrower Shell Trinket. The only other one that's really worth noting here is the Defilers. Yeah, the Talisman, the Arathi Basin one. This is only a physical absorb shield, but it is like a 550 physical absorb shield. Absolutely amazing when you're using that against rogues or warriors. Warriors in particular, because they can't generate rage off of attacking through shields. Reckoning Paladins also really, really like shields because they can heal while the shield is up. So if the shield is up, and as long as the shield is up and you're taking damage, you won't suffer spell pushback. So it's not uncommon to watch Jakova pop his 900 HP Burrower Shell Trinket and just fucking holy light himself. And you're just like, okay, what the hell? You're a Reckoning Paladin suffering no spell pushback? And it's like, yeah, I'm a Reckoning Paladin with no spell pushback. Like, sue me. Another reason why we like having the thicker mana bars, because there are times when we're just like, the best course of action is to Arena Grandmaster and to fucking heal myself, or to Burrower Shell and to heal myself, or to Defiler's Talisman and heal myself. It's like, oh, the warrior just used all of his rage to Mortal Strike and Whirlwind me. Here, let me pop the Defiler's Talisman. Watch all of his auto attacks generate no rage until he hacks his way through this fucking thing. And oh, by the way, I'm just going to Holy Light myself. Yeah, I know I have Mortal Strike on me, so this thing's only going to heal for like 1200. But he can't generate the 10 rage he needs to pummel me, so go fuck himself. Beautiful stuff. Beautiful, beautiful high-level stuff. Reflectors. Reflectors are a mainstay for these guys, especially when they're fighting mages. Particularly the Frost Reflector and then later the Fire Reflector. Because again, what's it doing for you? It's basically saving you, like against a Frost Mage, it's saving you like a 2000 HP. On top of that, you're doing an extra like 2,000 HP damage to the mage, or slowing the mage, which means they're guaranteed to force an ice block. While they're sitting in that ice block, waiting for their blink to come off a cooldown or whatever the hell, you can easily swap this trinket out for something else. Reflectors are another really big one, because again, you have to face tank your way through their Kamehameha and then get on top of them, right? So anything that's going to help this paladin do that is the trinkets that you want. Trinkets are what really makes Reckoning Paladin work in a lot of scenarios, like unironically. What else is there? Trinkets. Okay, so the weird scenario, the elephant in the room with Reckoning Paladins, and the reason why I'm bringing up all these trinkets and I'm talking at extreme length about this, is sometimes you walk your Reckoning Paladin through the Kamehameha, and the enemies only crit you like 2 times. And so you're standing there like, okay, well, I've got 2 crit charges. It's not enough to delete them out of existence. If I put these 2 Reckoning charges into them, they can just, heal themselves to full. Like, what is the correct course of action here? Do I just stand here and look pretty until they crit me again? Like, what the fuck is going on? Sometimes you just don't get enough Reckoning charges, even though you're physically on top of the enemy, to really do anything. And it becomes incredibly useful to just be able to, like, I'm just going to activate a Shadow Reflector and heal myself now. I'm going to activate my Arena Grandmaster and just heal myself. I'm going to activate my Burrower Shell and just heal myself. It's like, okay, well, I'm just going to heal myself. Or you can do what Jakova did, which is just, just keep auto-attacking him until he fucking dies. Because he's not going anywhere. That's basically your other option. Jakova's Hodge stun was so close to coming off a cooldown that I think he felt supremely confident that he could just keep auto-attacking that Shaman. And the Shaman even tried to go for a heal. He would just, Hodge stun him and delete him out of existence. He'd probably Seal Twist, Seal of Justice, see if he gets the Justice proc to interrupt the heal out of the Shaman. If it didn't work, he'd probably just Hodge stun him and delete. He knew he had him dead to rights, but there are these weird, awkward moments where you just didn't get crit enough, and you just kind of have to stand there and look pretty until they crit you a bit more. And usually the best course of action is to heal yourself, and some of these trinkets are better under that weird, awkward scenario than the others. Okay, cool. Now let's go back to Heal Reckoning. That's all I have to say about Red Reckoning. Mortar. Yes, sir. And then Netomatic. This is my bread and butter trinkets. Netomatic. Hell yeah. Okay, Goblin Mortar, Dobish Netomatic. So this is the Heal Reckoning setup. We don't value having extremely high HP anywhere near as much as the Reckoning Paladin does, because we're not trying to... We can just stop and heal whenever the hell we want to. We do prioritize having a much thicker mana bar because, again, this variant of Reckoning Paladin's battle plan is, I'm going to heal myself until I get full Rec Bomb, and then I'm going to introduce you to God. That's basically what this guy is all about. So having the thicker mana bar, letting us heal ourselves until we get that full Reckoning charge and we can actually delete people out of existence is 100% the way to go. We don't mind having lower melee critical strike chance because we're going to be putting full wreck bombs into people, not like, trying to kill people with like 3 Reckoning charges because we can. On top of that, we have a thick enough mana bar and healing capability that we're going to be able to do things like put multiple wreck bombs into an enemy if for whatever weird RNGesus reason the first one didn't work. There's a wreck bomb behind that wreck bomb, and there's a wreck bomb behind that one, essentially. So we don't mind having a slightly lower melee critical strike. What's really going to dictate how many wreck bombs we can put into the enemy is how thick our mana bar is. Therefore, there's a more of a prioritization on the mana bar, and a little bit more prioritization on how thick the plus healing is. What else is there to say about this thing? That's about it. Other than that, she plays a lot like she plays exactly like a Holy Reckoning Paladin that cannot really engage in endurance fighting. You'll notice over here that the one thing that this Paladin cannot do is endurance fight. Why is this? Well, what makes a Paladin able to endurance fight are the Illumination and the free crit heal talents. These 6 talents right here are what dictate whether or not a Paladin can engage in endurance fighting. Over the course of even a short 3-minute fight, Divine Favor is worth... Oh, God. Divine Favor is worth like 1,300 mana and something stupid like 7,000 HP and healing. Like, what the fuck? She also does really good tempo plays, so you can do extra damage off of the Divine Favor before you have to heal yourself because you know it's going to crit you. So this is like plus 1,300 mana in even a short 3-minute fight. Illumination, even in a short 3-minute fight, is going to be like plus an additional like 1,000 mana. You're going to get a couple of Illumination procs just naturally with your like 25% spell critical strike chance. Over the course of the longer fights, these talents are worth like 5,000-ish mana, give or take. So a Holy Reckoning Paladin might be running around with like a 6,000-ish mana bar, and then they also have these talents to boot, and so they're effectively running around with like 10,000 mana or something stupid like that. Those are the Paladins that can really engage in mana wars. All the Heal Reckoning Paladin has to work with is the mana bar. Is this standing HP bar, and then maybe a Dragon Fruit for like some extra mana. Maybe one of these is a major Recombobulator Ray for a little bit more mana than the Dragon Fruit will give you. But yeah, this is all you have to play with. So engaging in mana wars, not really a thing. You could argue that maybe Eye for an Eye will help you with the mana wars against like shamans and other stuff like that. The answer is not enough. It's not going to be enough of a difference to make a difference. But what is going to make a difference is that the shaman died with like half mana left because your Wreck Bomb is powerful enough with Eye for an Eye procs to delete them out of existence. Yeah, so stat gear changes a little bit. Not super... we don't mind the lower end HP pools. We want a thicker mana bar. We don't mind lower melee crit. We just want a thicker mana bar. So that's for all these reasons is why we have a Grand Marshal's Demolisher on this thing as opposed to a Claymore. The Claymore has 1% more melee crit. It's got more stamina. It's got more strength. We can see that right here. Claymore. Yeah, Grand Marshal's Claymore. You can see she's got 26 more strength. She's got 13 more stamina. She has 1% more melee crit. But look at the things that she's missing. Minus 27 intellect, minus 27 spell damage, minus 27 healing, minus 7 MP5. Yeah. And then other than that, she does all the same damage at a 3.8 weapon speed. So the Claymore for a Reckoning Paladin is definitely the way to go. But for a Heal Reckoning Paladin and a Holy Reckoning Paladin, the Grand Marshal's Demolisher is noticeably better. Yeah, my MP5 is 30 MP5. That's pretty sick. What else is there to say? The final form of a Reckoning Paladin and a Holy Reckoning Paladin is... Also, I hope it's fairly obvious that because Heal Reckoning is basically, she's a literal variation of a Reckoning Paladin. It literally gives up like a bit of damage in the bomb by stripping out these talent points to have healing in combat. Like, she's a Reckoning Paladin with a very, very minimal variation on her, which means that all the combat tactics and all the burst damage stuff that I've been talking about with the Reckoning Paladin basically apply to this thing. She just has a slightly different stat prioritization and a slightly different lifestyle. The final form for this Paladin will do just fine in traditional Reckoning all stats gear, right? Whatever the hell Drakova was wearing in that video, this Paladin will do just fine with that. However, I will point out that the final form of both a Reckoning Paladin and Heal Reckoning Paladin and a Holy Reckoning Paladin is actually, like, unironically, tier 3. And we're going to try to showcase that right here, and then thank God we'll end this damn video and I get to upload the stupid thing. How am I talking for an hour already? Hour and 20? Hopefully it's good info. Okay, so the final form of this is just, it's the Redemption suit, which is really weird. I want to scroll over our damage really fast here. Notice that we're doing 126 DPS. Okay, if I put on a Might of Minithil, this is going to shoot up to like 140 something. Yeah, so we're doing 146 damage with Might of Minithil. Let me pull up a calculator so we can do that. 140, I want to say 7? 147. Okay, so we're doing 147 white DPS with Might of Minithil. Keep in mind that, you know, our judgment damage, our Seal of Righteousness damage, blah, 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 isn't really affected by any of that, yada, yada, yada. 147 DPS in this, what is essentially DPS Reckoning gear with a Might of Minithil. Watch what happens when I switch this number over. Also, it was 126 without it. Like right now, it's just, with the Grand Marshals. Watch me swap over all this gear to the tier 3, which is basically just a pure healing suit. So I want Redemption. Yeah, the Redemption suit is literally just stamina, intellect, plus healing, chance to get a critical strike with spells, and MP5. And it doesn't change no matter what button I push. So Spauldrons, this is going to be a thick obsidian breastplate, so we'll leave that there. Redemption wrist guards, Redemption hand guards, Redemption girdle. Make sure we don't click the damn Season of Discovery stuff. Redemption boots. And then the Redemption ring. The Redemption ring is really what makes this thing disgusting. So tunic. Well, no. Yeah, so we have 8 out of 8 set bonus for the Redemption set. And then we're going to make this thing a thick obsidian breastplate. Bada bing, bada boom. This, I do believe, changes to a Trinity cape or something better. Trinity cape is probably the highest HP spell power cape in the entire game. So we'll slap a Trinity cape on there. That might change. I'm not sure what else changes around here, but now let's just look at our DPS, okay? So I literally just ripped off a bunch of melee crit and a bunch of like attack power, right? Not a single bit of strength on any of this fucking gear. It's literally just pure plus healing MP5 gear. Let's look at our damage. I have 130 DPS. Okay, so the DPS gear was giving me 147 DPS. In the Nax gear, it might be like 150. We'll say in the Nax gear, it's like 150 DPS. I've said it before, I'll say it again until everyone gets the damn message. Paladins do 80% of their DPS butt naked with a two-handed weapon. Like, all the rest of the gear is doing for you is giving you like a 20% damage increase. The vast majority of that being in the melee crit. You'll notice that my melee crit dropped from, well, if I was in the Naxxramas Reckoning build, I'd have like 20% melee crit. Instead, I don't even have 13% melee crit. We'll just call this 13% for the sake of my sanity. So I have noticeably less melee crit, but I don't have noticeably less melee damage. Like this is like, if I take 0.9 of this thing, I'm going to get, okay, that's cool. So 150 point times 0.85. Too little. 130 times, let's go 1.15. Okay, perfect. All right, cool. So what have I lost here? All right. I'm doing 15% less raw damage and something like 7% less critical strike chance than if I was in the like Drakova Reckoning suit, right? That's kind of what I've lost. And I could pick up a bit if I swap out the neck piece and the Cape of the Trinity to some other stuff. But again, you're seeing there that I haven't lost all. I've definitely lost damage, but have I lost enough damage to make up for things? And the answer kind of is, well, I don't fucking know. So we're still doing 130 melee DPS, which is actually really fucking good. Could be more. Our critical strike is noticeably low. But if I look at my plus healing, I've got 428 plus healing. I got 48 MP5. The set bonus, when I Flash of Light myself, there's a 10% chance to increase Holy Power. That gives me another 22 MP5 for 10 seconds or something like that. That's a lot of fucking MP5 on top of the fact that the mana bar is quite thick at 5,500. And of course, this HP bar is basically 6K. What the fuck am I looking at here? This thing is a war in a can. On top of that, the whole reason why you take the 8-piece redemption suit is the 8-set piece bonus on the redemption suit is literal fucking bullshit. It reads, your cleanse spell also heals the target, so you or the other guy, for 200 HP. And of course, by that point, you get a Libram of Grace, so it's like a 95 mana cleanse that heals people for 200 fucking hit points. This thing, with a thick obsidian breastplate, this thing is so fucking hard to put down, it is literally mind-boggling. On top of the fact that it still has a wreck bomb that you need to respect. This is kind of the final form Paladin build for any Holy Reckoning Paladin, any Deep Holy Paladin, or any Heal Reckoning Paladin. But the Heal Reckoning Paladin here is a little seasoned to taste. You can go the Pure Reckoning variant with the 20% melee crit and the 150 attack damage, or you can do this 8-piece Avengers nonsense, and what you're really going on with here is this thing can kind of endurance fight. And can put multiple wreck bombs into the enemy until this very low melee crit doesn't matter anymore. Eventually you'll high roll on this and just blow the fuck out of them. So not entirely sure which of these gearings is better as the quote-unquote final form of this Paladin. But what I do know is once you get rank 14 gear, you're basically good to go for the rest of the game. Anyway, so I'll end the video here, and Deus Vult. What else is there to say? Anything else to say? Anything else to say? I don't think so. Yeah. Anyways, if you're a Reckoning Paladin player, feel free to test out Heal Reckoning, see if you like it or not. Heal Reckoning might suck in rank 10 gear, but she's definitely going to be awesome in rank 13 gear. If you recall, the rank 10 gear had relatively low mana bar. It had all the other stats except for melee, crit, and mana, and that's an MP5, and that's basically what happened with the Marshals. The Marshals gear increased the mana significantly. It increased the MP5 dramatically, went up to 30 MP5, and it also increased the melee critical strike chance. All stats that you desperately need. So if you're in rank 10 gear and you're not liking Healing Reckoning, just know that she shouldn't be very good at that point because she's missing the mana that she wants. She's missing the MP5 that she really wants, and she's missing a fair bit of critical strike. So Reckoning is probably better in that gear. But the moment you have rank 13 gear, and definitely with a Herald of Woe, and then the moment you have rank 14 gear, Heal Reckoning is going to be something 100% worth considering. Anyways, I'll end the video here, and Deus Vult.